What's good? It's a boy dude reviews, and now that I have reviewed every single one of the Disney kind of like era movies, well, nearly all of them. I've still got the wartime era films to review, but I'm gonna kind of do that in like a little ranking list, so you will probably see that soon. I decided let's go and review all the 7, 8, 9 eras of Disney animated feature films. So in the next month I'm gonna start to rank all like the Disney like movies in each era, starting with the very first one, the golden era of Disney animation. This was the one that kind of started it all, and it began with the release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. The film was the first feature-length film to use traditional animation and was a commercial success immediately, and it kind of established one of the leaders of animated movie filmmaking. And it's kind of the era that was kind of like it kind of became the pinnacle blueprint of what animation should be. The nine old men were there, and they're the ones that introduced like the 12 principles of animations. And yeah, this is the kind of the era that started it all. And yeah, a lot of interesting flicks in this film, but let's just get on with the ranking. And yeah, coming in at number 5 and at last place, it's Dumbo. And yeah, it has to be Dumbo. Like, it is the shortest Disney flick out of all of them, to be honest with you. It's very, very short, very short. And Dumbo's an elephant who has enormous ears and is always bullied and ridiculed, and a small mouse comes to his rescue and motivates him so that he can make full use of his potential. I always was kind of like, it's a short flick, it's short and sweet, but I was always kind of like, there was just nothing much to it, I mean, yeah, it looked beautiful and there was nice animation. I feel like out of all the Disney films, this one has the most tears. Like, it gets tears and like water down to a T. It's always really good, and you feel so sorry for Dumbo and the way he's treated, and you just, oh man, it really pulls the heartstrings. But I was never really into this film. I always feel like the mouse was a little bit of like a carbon copy of Pinocchio's Jiminy Cricket. I prefer Jiminy Cricket than this one. Yeah, that's how I felt. And it's a short film, so it's over like that. But in all honesty, it's very forgettable. I always forget this film exists sometimes, and yeah, it has to be. I don't really hate any of these movies. I just prefer some of them over others. It's just my opinion, dudes and dudettes. Coming at number 4 is Bambi, and Bambi was released in 1942. This movie was the last film in the golden era before the wartime era. And yeah, Bambi, yeah, I grew up with this film, and I had the VHS as a kid, so I feel like compared to Dumbo, I have more of a soft spot for Bambi than Dumbo in a way, and I guess it's all pure nostalgia. And it's about a young deer called Bambi who joins his friends, a rabbit named Thumper and a skunk named Flower, in exploring his forest home. As a boy, he learns from his mother and his father, the great prince of the forest, that there are dangers in the open meadows where hunters can spot the animals, and he meets a beautiful young doe named Faline, and as he grows up, he learns that there is tragedy as well as beauty and joy in this forest world and on the path to adulthood. And yeah, obviously, spoiler alert, if you haven't seen this film, go watch it. But everyone keeps talking about the death of Bambi's mother. Even as a kid, I always knew that was going to come, and people kept talking about it, and it was really upsetting, as a kid. But I mean, when you really see it, like getting older, it's not really as extreme as how I thought or remembered it being. But yeah, this film it's the most painterly looking Disney film. And what I mean by painterly is that when you look at the backgrounds, like look at like the very watery colored painting backgrounds. I always found the backgrounds to be more appealing. But Not so much the designs, I'm sorry. The character designs are probably one of the blandest character designs in any Disney film. I really thought that was a disappointment in my opinion, you know? And they could have really done a little better with that, to be honest with you, but I prefer it over Dumbo because the soundtrack, oh my gosh, that soundtrack is so damn memorable and nostalgic, and oh gosh, and I love seeing Bambi getting older and he starts to understand the world a bit more, and oh damn, very nostalgic film. I recommend checking it out as well. Coming in at number 3, we have Fantasia. Now, I never grew up with this film, Fantasia. I never knew what it was about, and it's literally not about anything at all. It just consists of 8 animated segments set to pieces of classical musical conducted by Leopold Skorowski, 7 of which are performed by Philadelphia Orchestra. And yeah, what I like about this film is just how very experimental it was. This was kind of like Disney Animation being like, okay, we have just released 2 films. Let's get a bit more experimental, you know. Let's have some fun, you know. This was kind of a way for the Disney animators to just let loose and just go crazy in a way, and it really does show. Like, a lot of the scenes are just, they're not really about anything at all, you know. It's just like, it's just literally shorts. Obviously the best one has to be The Sorcerer's Apprentice, I think it's called, the Mickey Mouse one. I absolutely love that one. I like how there's just no dialogue at all. It's just all kind of like, the story is told through like the music, which I really did like. And just, you got other stuff, and just, oh, just fantastic. I feel like the the best one has to definitely be The Night on Bald Mountain and Ava Marie. So like the one towards the end, which is just kind of like this demon sitting on top of a mountain, and it is just this terrifying thing, and the animation on it is just so gorgeous and so damn amazing that it just blows you away, you know. Obviously it's not at number 1 or number 2 because it just doesn't have that same storytelling that I really would like, you know. But I just like how Disney were like, let's just be experimental and let's just do our thing. Go check this film out and check just check it out right now. Number 2, we have got Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, and this film was basically the first one, the movie that started it all. Snow White. Yeah, this one was this really did it changed the game. It changed cinema forever in a way. It really did. It was a masterpiece of a film. And when Snow White Princess is exiled by her stepmother, an evil queen who wants to kill her, she runs into a forest. Soon she is rescued by 7 dwarves who form a friendship with her. And yeah, I really like this film, you know. I don't like it as much as other Disney princess films, but I just like it all the same, you know. I really like the animation on the 7 dwarfs. I think they're really great. I love the Evil Queen's character design. I think it looks great and just awesome and just lovely. That soundtrack is so awesome and amazing, and it works really well with the motion picture. It's a really gorgeous looking movie, you know. Yeah, it's pretty in my opinion, and I recommend anyone to check it out. Check my full review of this film as well. I did a full review of it, and go check it out. But obviously coming in at number 1 is Pinocchio, and it's one of my favorite Disney films. And basically this woodcarver called Geppetto creates a boy called Pinocchio, and Pinocchio is basically thrown into the real world where he learns valuable lessons about stuff he shouldn't or should not do. And what I really like about Pinocchio is just, you just really like, you like Pinocchio, but let's be honest, he's a bit of a troublemaker, this guy. Like, he's very gullible, and you're just like, oh, every time Pinocchio does something, you just kind of roll your eyes, you're like, oh my gosh, what are you doing, man? What are you doing, man? Stop it! And yeah, I really like when you look at this film compared to Snow White, it's a big improvement. Like, my gosh, it's a gigantic improvement, you know. I love all the characters. I like the animation, like the motion of the animation. I think it's really nice. The Fairy Queen is gorgeous and pretty and just so sparkly. Jiminy Cricket is one of my favorite characters in the whole film. And it has a lot of interesting sequences. One of my favorite sequences is I've Got No Strings on Me. I love that whole song, and just every time I hear it, I just feel so good, and it's really lovable, and it's not afraid to get dark. Like, there are a lot of dark elements, particularly the Pleasure Island sequence, when Pinocchio and this boy get kind of they're not kidnapped, but they kind of get tricked into going to this Pleasure Island, and they just act like hooligans, smoking and gambling. It gets dark and really, really depressing at times, to the point where these boys turn into donkeys are so upset, they're crying, and we never see what happens to them afterwards, you know. So it's like, what happened to those boys? It really leaves a gaping hole in me, to be honest with you. I just like the whole flair of this film, you know. It's a really great film, particularly the sequence with the big whale, the monstro scene, the whale. You just look at that, you're like, oh my gosh, that was hand drawn on paper. That is amazing. And yeah, Pinocchio is just a fantastic film with great songs, great soundtrack, beautiful looking animation. It's the prettiest one looking in the golden era. It is, when I consider what is the best golden era of Disney, Pinocchio comes to mind. It's so much. It's really, really enjoyable, you know. But as I said in the beginning, I didn't really like the golden era, just because despite it being the pinnacle of animation and the character animation probably being the best of any era in my opinion, like some of the best, I always just kind of found the storytelling to be a little bit meandering at times. It would just kind of meander sometimes, and it wouldn't be that appealing at times, and it would just kind of particularly Bambi and Dumbo, and those ones were just very dull and forgettable, you know. They're nice, don't get me wrong, but give me the Silver Age or the Renaissance Age anytime, my dude. And yeah, that's pretty much my ranking in a nutshell. Thank you for watching this review. Please like and share this video. Comment down below and tell me what's your favourite film from the golden age of Disney. With that said, thank you for watching, and as always, Broadwood Review signing out.